Chapter 1. The end of decay and the beginning of rebirth. The smell of disinfectant pierced Luna's cracked nostrils like countless tiny needles. She lay on the creaking iron bed, the thin, translucent quilt barely shielding her from the late autumn chill. Her exposed ankles were stained with gray-black stains from somewhere unknown. Bed 307. It's time to take your medicine. The nurse's voice carried from afar, undisguised impatience. The plastic medicine cup clattered against the bedside table, making a harsh sound. Luna struggled to move her eyes, only to see the hem of the nurse's faded work clothes brush against the edge of the bed as she turned, stirring up a cloud of fine dust. How long had she been here? Half a year, a year? Memories were like a ball of waterlogged cotton wool, heavy and hazy. I only remember her son, Jake, driving her here on her 65th birthday. He said, "Mom, this place is nice and there's someone to take care of you. I'm usually busy with work, so I just can't. But where is the nice environment here? The toilet is always stained with unflushed dirt, and the hallways echo with the coughs and cries of other elderly people day and night. As for care, aside from the regularly delivered pills and the bland porridge that was so pale you could see your reflection in it, she received no other kind of concern. Last night, she had a high fever. In her hazy state, she kept calling out Jake, hoping he'd come see her. But the caregiver just said coldly, "Your son called last week and said he was busy with business and didn't have time." Busy with business? Luna's cracked lips forced a bitter smile. She remembered how when Jake was little, she would stand in the hospital corridor holding him all night if he had even the slightest headache or fever. When he went to college, she used all her retirement savings, accumulated over 10 years, to pay for his tuition and buy him the latest computer. When he got married, she even sold her house of 30 years to help him with the down payment. But now, she had become a burden to him, a useless piece of old furniture, abandoned in this neglected corner. A sharp pain shot through her chest, and Luna's breathing became increasingly labored. Her vision began to darken. She thought of Jake for the last time, remembering how he had flung himself into her arms as a child, crying, "Mom is the best." But as an adult, he hadn't even bothered to see her before she died. "I regret this so much." This was Luna's last thought before she lost consciousness. "Ma'am. Ma'am, are you awake?" A gentle female voice echoed in her ears, accompanied by a soft touch. Luna's eyes snapped open. The glaring warm yellow light forced her to squint subconsciously. The pungent smell of disinfectant lingered in her nose, replaced by the faint scent of gardenias. She looked around blankly. The soft white sheets, the windows draped with light curtains, and a bouquet of fresh sunflowers on the bedside table. They were her favorite flowers when she was young. A young girl in a pink nurse's uniform smiled at her. "You just gave birth. You need to rest. The baby is healthy and has been cleaned. Would you like to hold it for you to see?" Given birth, baby? Luna's mind went blank. Hadn't she supposedly died in that cold, damp nursing home? She raised her hands, trembling. They were smooth, firm hands, without age spots or sagging skin. The nails were neatly manicured and a healthy pink. These were her hands when she was 30. Now. What year is it now? Her voice was hoarse and trembling with disbelief. "It's 2003, Mom," the nurse replied with a smile. "You were brought in last night. You successfully gave birth to a boy. Your husband was just here, and he said he was going to get you breakfast." He should be back soon. 2003, Luna's heart began to beat wildly. She was truly back. Back to when Jake was just born. Back to when she hadn't given everything for this son, before she had completely exhausted her life. Just then, a loud cry erupted from the nursery. The nurse immediately said, "The baby must be waking up. I'll go get him." Luna's body stiffened instantly. In her past life, every time Jake cried, she would rush over to pick him up. No matter how tired or sleepy she was, she would hold him and soothe him to sleep all night, fearing he would suffer even the slightest injustice. But it was that unbridled doting that had raised the cold and selfish son she later became. "No need," Luna blurted out, her voice filled with a firmness that surprised even herself. "Just put him in the crib. I need to rest now." The nurse was stunned. Perhaps she had never seen a mother so cold towards her baby after giving birth. She hesitated for a moment, then nodded. "Okay, call me if you need anything." The nurse came in, swaddled Jake, and gently placed him in the crib in the corner of the ward. The little one was still crying, his face flushed, his arms and legs waving. Lying in bed, Luna felt a tug at her heart, listening to the familiar cry. Her past life's habit almost made her want to get up and hold him. But she suddenly remembered the cold iron bed in the nursing home and Jake's indifference before her death, and her hesitation vanished instantly. She closed her eyes, forcing herself to ignore the crying. A single thought crossed her mind in this life. She didn't want to be Luna, always revolving around her son. She wanted to live for herself. After an unknown amount of time, the door to the hospital room gently opened, and Ethan walked in, carrying breakfast. Seeing Luna resting in bed with her eyes closed, he immediately stepped softly and asked, "Honey, how are you feeling? Where's the baby?" Luna opened her eyes and looked at Ethan. In her previous life, Ethan had overly doted on Jake, and they had always argued. As they grew older, he grew silent, but he never abandoned her like Jake had. Thinking of this, Luna felt a warm glow in her heart. In this life, she wanted to be good not only to herself, but also to the man who had been with her all her life. "I'm fine, just a little tired." Luna pointed to the crib. "The baby's over there." He cried for a while, but the nurse soothed him. Ethan looked in the direction she pointed and saw Jake, still sobbing softly. He immediately wanted to go over. Why is he still crying? "I'll go hold him." "Don't go," Luna stopped him. "Let him cry for a while." The nurse said it's normal for newborns to cry, and we don't have to hold him right away every time. Ethan looked back at Luna in surprise, his eyes filled with confusion. "But didn't you say before that babies should be held immediately when they cry?" "Last time, when our neighbor's child was crying, you said the parents were cruel." Luna's heart trembled. In her past life, she had indeed thought so, but now she knew that such softness would only harm the child and herself. She sat up, took the breakfast from Ethan, and as she unwrapped it, she said, "I was wrong before. Children shouldn't be spoiled too much. Besides, I just had a baby and I'm weak. I need to rest. Don't be around the baby all the time. Eat something with me first." Ethan looked at Luna and felt something different about her. Before, her heart and eyes were completely focused on her child. Even after giving birth to Jake, she'd immediately put all her attention on him. But now, she'd actually taken the initiative to ask, "Eat something with me." This unfamiliar selfishness surprised Ethan. yet also strangely comforted him. It had been so long since he'd seen Luna put herself first. "Okay, I'll listen to you." Ethan sat down on the bed and opened Luna's milk. "What do you want?" "I bought your favorite strawberry shortcake." Luna's eyes suddenly warmed as she stared at the pink strawberry shortcake on her plate. In her previous life, she hadn't eaten her favorite cake in years, saving money to buy Jake things. Even on her birthday, she simply cooked a bowl of noodles. She picked up her fork and took a bite of cake, the sweet taste spreading in her mouth, a taste of happiness all her own. Jake was still crying softly in his crib, but Luna was no longer as anxious as she had been in her previous life. As she ate breakfast, she chatted with Ethan, discussing plans to take a walk in the nearby park and see the latest movie after she was discharged from the hospital. All the things she had postponed in her previous life because of Jake, she would make up for them one by one in this life. She knew that change had to start now. Although it was difficult, she had to persevere for herself, for Ethan, and for the Jake who might still be saved. Chapter 2: A Contest in Craft Class. Whose homework is responsible? Time flew by, and 5 years passed in the blink of an eye. Jake had grown into a lively and active little boy, attending the senior class at a local kindergarten called Sunshine Kindergarten. During these 5 years, Luna had always adhered to her principles, not spoiling him, not taking care of everything for him, and always putting her own needs and Ethan's needs first. On weekends, unlike her previous life, she wouldn't spend the entire day accompanying Jake to amusement parks or the zoo. Instead, she would go to art exhibitions and hike with Ethan, leaving Jake with a neighbor's aunt or letting him play with toys or read picture books at home. At first, Jake would cry and act like a spoiled brat, but Luna always remained firm. Over time, Jake gradually got used to his mother not always being around him. That afternoon, Jake returned from preschool. He immediately dumped his school bag on the sofa and ran to Luna, who was preparing dinner in the kitchen. He grabbed her shirt and shouted, "Mom, the teacher said we'll bring parents to preschool tomorrow to do crafts, and there's a competition. You have to go." Luna paused as she cut vegetables, her hands pausing as a scene from her past life flashed through her mind. Back then, Jake was also participating in a craft competition. To help him win first place, she stayed up all night researching and drawing blueprints. She crafted an elaborate little house out of colored paper, yarn, and clay. Jake was so proud of himself the next day at preschool, but he hadn't even touched the materials. From that moment on, Jake began to take his mother's actions for granted. Got it. Luna placed the chopped vegetables on a plate and turned to look at Jake. "Did the teacher say what craft we were going to do?" "We'll make little animals. The teacher said we can use any materials, and the one that looks the best will get a red flower." Jake's eyes sparkled as he looked at Luna expectantly. "Mom, you'll definitely make me the best one. Just like you did with the hand-painted newspaper last time." In his previous life, when Jake was in preschool, he had to make a hand-painted newspaper, and Luna stayed up all night to help him finish it. Jake didn't even write a single word. Luna took a deep breath, squatted down, looked Jake in the eye, and said seriously, "Jake, crafts are homework assigned by the teacher, and you should do it on your own. Mom can accompany you to kindergarten tomorrow, but I can't help you. You have to do it yourself." Jake's smile instantly vanished, and he looked at Luna in disbelief. "Mom, what are you saying? You won't help me?" "But I don't know how. If I don't do it right, I won't get the red flower." You can learn if you don't know how. Mom can teach you how to cut colored paper and apply glue, but I can't do it for you. Luna's tone was gentle, but her attitude was firm. The red flower is only fun if you work hard on your own, isn't it? I don't want it. Jake suddenly started to act coquettishly, shaking Luna's hand. Mom, just help me. I want the red flower. You always helped me. Luna felt a little shaken by Jake's coquettish expression. She knew that children her age all yearned for praise and the red flower from their teachers. But she knew even more clearly that if she gave in this time, the tragedy of her previous life would repeat itself. She gently pushed Jake's hand away, stood up, and continued preparing dinner. No, Jake, this is your homework. You have to do it yourself. I've put colored paper, scissors, and glue on your desk. You can try it now. If you have any questions, ask me. Jake, seeing Luna's resolute attitude, knew that his coquettish behavior was futile, and he immediately lost his temper. He ran into the living room, threw the sofa cushions all over the floor, kicked the coffee table, and shouted, "Mom is so mean. Mom doesn't like me anymore. I don't want to do crafts. I'm not going to preschool tomorrow." Luna, upon hearing the commotion in the living room, didn't immediately rush to comfort him as she had in her previous life. Instead, she continued to prepare dinner methodically. When Ethan returned from get off work, he saw the mess in the living room and heard Jake crying. He immediately frowned. Just as he was about to say something, Luna gave him a look, signaling him to ignore it. Ethan paused, then understood what Luna meant. He had grown accustomed to Luna's parenting style over the years and knew it was for Jake's own good. He silently picked up the cushions from the floor and placed them on the sofa, then went into the kitchen to help Luna. Jake cried for a while, then stopped when no one paid him any attention. He looked at the empty living room, then at his parents, chatting and laughing in the kitchen. Feeling both aggrieved and angry, he couldn't understand why his mother didn't love him as much as she used to, why she wouldn't even help him with a small craft. At dinner, Jake kept his head down, neither talking nor eating. Luna didn't coax him or feed him as she used to, but instead chatted normally with Ethan, discussing the movie they were going to see the next night. Tomorrow night's movie is a really popular animated film. I heard the main character is incredibly brave and makes a lot of things herself. Luna deliberately raised her voice so Jake could hear. Jake's ears twitched. He'd actually been dying to see that movie and had mentioned it to his mom before, but she'd said she wouldn't take him until he behaved well. By the way, Ethan chimed in, if Jake can finish his craft tomorrow, we'll take him to the movie, regardless of how well he does. How about that? Jake's head shot up, his eyes filled with surprise. Really? If I do my own craft, I can go to the movie. Luna smiled and nodded. Of course it's true, but only if you do it all yourself, no one else. Jake hesitated. Although he still felt he couldn't do it well, the thought of going to the movie made it seem easier. He picked up his spoon and ate his food in big mouthfuls. Okay. I'll do my own craft. That evening, Jake took the initiative and went to the desk to try his hand at crafting. He wanted to make a bunny, but the colored paper couldn't be cut neatly, and the glue smeared everywhere. The result was a crooked, twisted mess, nothing like a bunny. Frustrated, Jake wanted to give up, but a thought of the movie spurred him on. Mom, how do I cut these ears so they're round? Jake couldn't help himself and ran to Luna for help. Luna didn't cut directly for him. Instead, she took a piece of scrap newspaper and patiently instructed him. Look, first, fold the paper in half, then cut along this curve. When you open it, it should be round. Try it. Jake followed Luna's instructions and, indeed, he created round ears. Overjoyed, he returned to his desk and continued working on his craft. Although the process was still a bit difficult, he no longer relied on Luna as much as before, instead figuring things out on his own. Before he knew it, it was almost bedtime, and Jake had finally finished his craft. It was a clumsy-looking little bunny, its ears one larger than the other, and its eyes, distorted and glued on with black buttons. But Jake felt a surge of accomplishment. He ran to Luna with the bunny and excitedly exclaimed, "Mom, look! I made it! My own little bunny!" Luna looked at the ugly bunny, but her heart warmed. She patted Jake's head and smiled. "Well done. This is the most special bunny Mom has ever seen." Ethan also came over to take a look and said, "It's really great. Much better than the ones Dad made when he was little. Tomorrow at kindergarten, the teacher will definitely praise you." Jake's face lit up with a broad smile. He held the bunny in his arms, skipped off to brush his teeth, and went to bed. Luna watched him from behind, then exchanged a glance with Ethan, both of them beaming with satisfaction. The next morning, Jake, carrying his school bag, carefully placed the bunny inside and happily headed to kindergarten. As agreed, Luna and Ethan went to the kindergarten together to accompany him for the craft competition. During the competition, the other children's crafts were incredibly elaborate. Some had castles made with their mother's help, others had cars made with their father's help. Only Jake's bunny looked ordinary. Jake was a little nervous, clutching the bunny's ears tightly. Just then, the teacher came over, picked up Jake's bunny, and said with a smile, "Jake, did you make this bunny yourself?" Jake nodded and whispered, "Yes, I made it myself. Mom taught me how to cut the ears, and I did everything else myself." "Excellent." The teacher's voice rose a few notches. "Although this bunny may not look the most elaborate, it's Jake's own creation, and that's more important than any other beautiful craft. I'm giving you a red flower as a reward for your bravery and independence." The teacher then affixed a bright red flower to Jake's clothes. The surrounding children looked at Jake with envy. A proud smile spread across his face. He looked up at Luna. His eyes filled with gratitude. Luna smiled back and gave him a thumbs up. She knew this little red flower meant far more to Jake than the exquisite little house in his previous life. That evening, Luna and Ethan took Jake to see an animated film as promised. The protagonist in the film overcame numerous obstacles through her own efforts, and Jake was utterly captivated. As they left the theater, Jake took Luna's hand and whispered, "Mom, I'm so happy today. It turns out doing things yourself is so much more fun than having others help you." Luna squatted down and hugged Jake. "Mom, I've always known that my Jake is the best." She knew this was just the beginning of a change. Many challenges lay ahead for her and Jake, but as long as they persevered, everything would change. Chapter 3. A shortened birthday party and the surprises of growth. Time flew by, and Jake soon turned 10. As was customary in her previous life, Luna would have started planning Jake's birthday party a month in advance, renting the community center, inviting all of Jake's classmates, buying the finest cake and gifts, and making the party a blast. But in this life, Luna decided to shorten the birthday party. A week before her birthday, Luna sat on the sofa and discussed the birthday party with Jake. Jake, your birthday is next week. Let's have the party at home and invite your 3 best friends over. How about that? Jake was playing his video game when he heard Luna's words and immediately stopped, staring at her in surprise. At home. Only 3 friends. Mom. I used to have my birthday parties at the activity center and invite my whole class. That was the past. We need to save some money now, Luna said calmly. Besides, having a party at home is more cozy. You can make pizza and watch a movie with your friends. Isn't that fun? In reality, Luna wasn't really trying to save money. She wanted to teach Jake that not everything can go his way and that he can't get whatever he wants in her previous life. She had thrown Jake a lavish birthday party, which had instilled in him a habit of extravagance and comparison. In this life, she wanted to change that habit, but Jake was about to object. He believed birthday parties should be lively and inviting lots of friends, just to look good. No buts, Luna interrupted. It's settled. Now go ask your 3 best friends if they'd like to come to the party. Jake, seeing Luna's resolute stance and knowing no matter how much he tried, reluctantly picked up the phone and called his friends. Luckily, his 3 best friends were all happy to come, which brightened Jake's mood a bit. On his birthday, Luna and Ethan busied themselves in the kitchen, preparing pizza ingredients. Jake was tidying up in the living room, putting toys aside to make room for his friends. Although he still felt the party was a bit quiet, the thought of making pizza with his friends gave him a glimmer of anticipation. That afternoon, Jake's 3 best friends arrived on time. They greeted Jake excitedly upon entering the house and jumped for joy when they saw the pizza ingredients prepared in the living room. Wow, we can make our own pizza. That's so cool. Of course. Luna smiled, leading them to the kitchen. You can choose your own toppings and put as much cheese as you want. The 4 children gathered around the kitchen counter and excitedly began making pizzas. Some smeared tomato sauce all over their faces. Others spilled cheese on the floor. And the kitchen was filled with laughter. Luna and Ethan watched from the side, occasionally offering guidance, their faces beaming with joy. After making the pizzas, Luna put them in the oven. The 4 children played games in the living room, sometimes playing hide and seek, sometimes playing with building blocks. They had a blast, not at all upset that the party was shortened. When the pizzas were done, the aroma filled the house. The 4 children gathered around the dining table, devouring their homemade pizzas with hearty mouthfuls. Although they didn't look very good, they all agreed that they were the best pizzas in the world. Jake, your birthday party was so much fun, a friend said as they ate. It was much more fun than the last party I had at the event center. I'm going to have my next birthday at home too. The other 2 friends nodded in agreement. Jake's heart swelled. He suddenly felt that having a party at home with his best friends was much more enjoyable than a grand party at the event center. After finishing their pizza, Luna brought out a small birthday cake with 10 candles. Jake, make a wish. Jake closed his eyes and silently made a wish. I hope I can celebrate every birthday with Mom, Dad, and my best friends. Even if there isn't a big party, I'll still be happy. After blowing out the candles, Jake cut a piece of cake and handed it to Luna. Mom, thank you for planning my birthday party. I'm so happy. Luna took the cake, feeling warm inside, as long as you're happy. After the party, Jake took the initiative to put away the toys in the living room and picked up the trash on the floor and threw it into the trash can. Luna watched him busying around and smiled with relief. She knew Jake was slowly changing, becoming more sensible and independent. That night, Jake lay in bed, tossing and turning, unable to sleep. He thought about what his friends had said that day, the pizza he'd made, and his mother's gentle smile. He suddenly felt so naive, always demanding things from his mother without ever considering her feelings. He quietly got out of bed, walked to Luna's door, and gently opened it. Luna was still awake, reading a picture book. "Mom," Jake whispered. Luna turned around and saw Jake, surprised to ask, "Why aren't you asleep yet? Is something wrong?" Jake walked over to Luna, took her hand, and whispered, "Mom, I'm sorry. I used to make you do so much for me and get angry with you. I won't do that again. I'll do my own things and help you with chores." Luna looked into Jake's sincere eyes, and suddenly tears welled up in her eyes. She hugged Jake and whispered, "Mom knows Jake has grown up and become a sensible child." Since then, Jake has truly changed. No longer as willful and spoiled as before, he now proactively helps Luna with chores, tidies his own room, and consults with her beforehand, rather than simply demanding things. Luna saw this and was delighted, knowing her persistence had paid off. Meanwhile, Luna didn't forget about her own life. She used the money she'd saved from her birthday party to enroll in a yoga class, which she attended every morning. Her health and well-being grew, and her mood became happier. Ethan, observing Luna's changes, grew happier. Too, their bond grew stronger, and the atmosphere at home became more welcoming. Luna knew that her life in this lifetime was heading in the direction she had wanted, and all of this stemmed from her original selfishness, her determination to live for herself. Chapter 4: Game Consoles and Oil Painting Classes. Where the education fund goes at the age of 16, Jake entered a prestigious local high school. As he grew older, he became more sensible. Not only did he excel academically, he also used his spare time to volunteer in the community, helping elderly neighbors with groceries and cleaning, earning him the nickname "the other kid." Luna watched Jake's growth with pride, but she also didn't let up on her own standards, adhering to the principle of living for herself. That year, a new model of game console was released. Its powerful features and beautiful graphics made it a hit among teenagers. Many of Jake's classmates bought it, and they often played online together after school. Jake wanted one too, and he read reviews of the console online every day, eager to get one. One weekend evening, after dinner, Jake hesitated for a long time before finally approaching Luna, who was watching an oil painting tutorial in the living room. "Mom, I need to tell you something." Luna turned off her tablet and looked at Jake. "What's it? Go ahead. It's just, there's a new game console that came out recently. A lot of my classmates have bought them, and I want one too." Jake's voice was a little low. He knew it was expensive, and he also knew his mother's personality. She wouldn't easily grant his request. Luna had known about this console for a while. Jake's classmates had mentioned it when they came over. She didn't answer immediately, but instead asked, "How much is it?" "About $800, Jake whispered. $800 was certainly not a small sum. Luna thought for a moment and said, "Jake, you know our family has an education fund for you, right?" Jake nodded. He knew it was something his mother had been saving since he was a child, to help him go to college. Part of this education fund is now available, just enough to buy this game console. Luna looked Jake in the eye and said seriously, "But I'm planning to use it to enroll in an oil painting class." Jake was stunned, unable to believe his ears. Mom, what are you talking about? You're going to use my education fund to enroll in an oil painting class? What about my game console then? You can find a way to buy your game console yourself, Luna said calmly. I have already inquired. The oil painting class is run by an artist I really like. It's a rare opportunity, and I want to seize it and fulfill my childhood dream. As for your game console, if you really want it, you can work part-time on the weekends and earn the money yourself. Part-time job. Jake frowned. But I have school during the week and volunteer work on the weekends. I don't have time for a part-time job. And part-time jobs don't make that much money. Time can be squeezed in. You can reduce your volunteer hours or choose to do some online part-time work in the evenings. Luna, she said, as for how much you earn, as long as you persevere, you'll eventually save enough to buy a video game console. Most importantly, you'll treasure what you want more deeply if you earn it through your own hard work. Jake still felt wronged. He thought his mother was being selfish for using the education fund she'd set aside for him on herself. But that's my education fund. How could you embezzle it? This fund was indeed for you, but I have more important things to do right now, Luna said firmly. Jake, you're 16 years old now, a grown-up child. You should learn to take responsibility for your own wishes instead of blindly relying on your parents. I can offer you advice and help, but I can't unconditionally fulfill all your requests like I did before. Seeing Luna's resolute attitude, Jake knew it was pointless to argue, so he angrily turned back to his room and slammed the door. Luna felt a little sad as she watched Jake's back, but she knew she couldn't compromise. In her previous life, it was because she indulged Jake too much that he developed a habit of wanting something for nothing. In this life, she must teach Jake that if you want something, you have to put in the effort. Ethan emerged from the study and saw Luna looking somewhat dejected. He walked over and patted her shoulder. Don't be too sad. Jake's just confused for a moment. He'll understand your efforts. I know, Luna sighed. I just think I'm being too strict with him. No, you're doing the right thing, Ethan said. We can't be with him forever. One day he'll have to face life on his own. It's good for him to learn independence now. To learn to strive for what he wants through his own efforts. Besides, you're right to sign yourself up for the oil painting class. You have the right to pursue your dreams. After hearing Ethan's words, Luna felt much better. She took out her phone, called the registration number for the oil painting class, and signed up without hesitation. She knew this wasn't just about fulfilling her own dreams, but also about setting an example for Jake. Everyone has the right to pursue their own happiness, including their parents. For the next few days, Jake ignored Luna. After school, he would hide in his room, refusing to come out for meals or speak, instead of trying to comfort him. Luna went to her painting class every morning, returning home in the evening to cook and watch movies with Ethan, living her own life. One evening, Jake emerged from his room for a drink of water and saw the lights on in the living room. He approached and found Luna painting at her easel. She was wearing loose house clothes. Her hair casually tied back, she held a paintbrush, intently applying to the canvas. Moonlight filtered through the window, casting a gentle glow over her. Jake stood there, watching Luna quietly. He noticed that as his mother painted, her face was filled with a focus and happiness he had never seen before, a look that shone brighter than anything she had ever done for him. Jake suddenly realized that his mother had her own dreams and aspiration. She shouldn't always be around him. She deserved a life of her own. Recently, Jake had been thinking a lot at school. He'd seen classmates buy new video game consoles, play them for a few days, then lose interest and throw them aside. He'd asked himself if he really wanted them, or if he simply wanted one because he saw others owning them. After some reflection, Jake finally came to a conclusion. He walked over to Luna and whispered, "Mom, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have lost my temper with you earlier. You were right to use your education fund to enroll in painting classes. That's your dream, and you should pursue it." Luna put down her paintbrush, looked back at Jake, and asked in surprise, "Have you thought it through?" Jake nodded. "Yeah, I've thought it through. I shouldn't have stopped you from pursuing your dream just because I wanted a video game console. Besides, I've thought about it. That video game console isn't that important. I can buy it myself, or buy it later when I can afford it." Luna smiled happily. "Jake, I'm so happy you think that way. Actually, if you really want a video game console, I can lend you some money first. You can pay me back when you earn money from a part-time job. How about that?" "Really?" Jake's eyes lit up. "Thank you, Mom. I'll definitely pay you back as soon as possible." "You're welcome." Luna patted Jake's head. "But you have to promise Mom that your part-time job won't affect your studies, okay?" "I know, I'll manage my time wisely," Jake said happily. From then on, Jake began working part-time on weekends. He waited tables at a restaurant, working 6 hours a day. Although the work was tiring, he felt a deep sense of accomplishment every time he got his paycheck. He saved part of his paycheck to return to his mother and used the rest for his own expenses, no longer asking her for money as he had before. Luna's oil painting class was also going well. She had a natural talent, and with the teacher's guidance, she was making rapid progress. Her paintings were not only praised by her teacher, but also exhibited in small community art exhibitions. Every time Jake saw his mother's work, he felt truly proud of her. 6 months later, Jake finally saved enough money to return it to his mother and used it to buy a used video game console. Although it wasn't the latest model, Jake treasured it because he had earned it through his own hard work. One day, Jake came home from school and saw Luna painting in the living room. He walked over, picked up a newly completed painting, and examined it carefully. "Mom, your painting is so beautiful. It looks just like the real thing." Luna smiled and said, "As long as you have a dream and are willing to work hard for it, you can achieve it." Jake nodded. He suddenly understood that his mother's use of her education fund for oil painting classes wasn't just to fulfill her own dream, but also to teach him a lesson. Life isn't just one path. Everyone can choose the life they want and strive for their dreams. Since then, Jake has studied even harder, while also continuing to work part-time and volunteer. He has not only learned independence and responsibility, but also how to balance his life and his dreams. Watching Jake's growth, Luna feels a surge of joy and pride. She knows that her selfishness has not only made her successful, but also made Jake successful. Chapter 5: A European Trip and Appendicitis. Facing growth alone at the age of 18, Jake successfully gained admission to a prestigious local university. On the day he received his acceptance letter, Jake joyfully hugged Luna and Ethan and excitedly exclaimed, "Thank you, Mom and Dad. Without you, I wouldn't be who I am today." Luna looked at Jake's mature face, her heart filled with emotion. From a crying, spoiled little boy to the sensible, independent young man he is today, every step of Jake's growth has been inseparable from her selfishness and persistence. Congratulations, Jake, Luna said with a smile. This is the result of your own hard work. No need to thank us. By the way, Ethan suddenly said, didn't we agree that we'd travel Europe once Jake got in? We have the time now, so we can go. Jake's eyes lit up at the mention of European travel. He had heard about Europe's beauty since he was a child and had always wanted to see it. Really? When are we leaving? Next week, Luna said. I've already booked the flights and hotels. We're going to Italy, France, and Spain for a month. Great. Jake jumped for joy. Unbeknownst to Jake, Luna and Ethan were using the funds originally intended for Jake's study abroad program. In her previous life, Luna had used this fund to send Jake to a prestigious university. However, Jake not only didn't study hard, but he also constantly begged his family for money, ultimately failing to even receive his diploma. In this life, Luna decided not to send Jake abroad. Instead, she and Ethan would use the funds to fulfill their childhood dream of traveling around Europe. The day before leaving, Luna called Jake over and said, Jake, while your dad and I are traveling in Europe, you have to take care of yourself when you're home alone. Remember to eat on time and lock the doors and windows. If anything happens, call us or ask a neighbor for help. I understand, Mom, Jake nodded. Don't worry, I'll take care of myself. Although Jake was already 18 and able to live independently. This was the first time Luna had been away from him for an extended period. Luna was a little worried, but even more excited looking forward to this European trip. Looking forward to spending time alone with Ethan. The next day, Luna and Ethan packed their bags and boarded a plane to Italy. Europe's scenery was truly as famous as it's said to be. The Colosseum in Rome, the Eiffel Tower in France, and the Barcelona Cathedral in Spain, each one of them captivated Luna and Ethan. They savored authentic pizza and pasta in Italy, drank rich red wine in France, and watched passionate flamenco dance in Spain. Every day was filled with joy and fulfillment. Luna also enrolled in a short cooking class in Italy, learning how to prepare authentic Italian dishes. She studied diligently every day, and although exhausted, she was incredibly happy. Ethan accompanied her, occasionally learning a dish or two along the way. The couple's bond grew stronger during their trip. Jake also enjoyed a fulfilling life at home. He spent every day reading in the library, preparing for his upcoming college life, and in the evenings, he cooked and cleaned his room. Sometimes, he would invite friends over, cooking and watching movies together. Life was truly relaxing. However, during the third week of Luna and Ethan's European trip, something unexpected happened. That night, Jake suddenly felt a severe stomachache. At first, he thought he had eaten something bad and ignored it, but the pain grew so severe that he couldn't even stand. Jake struggled to pick up his phone and called Luna. Luna and Ethan were enjoying the night view from the Eiffel Tower in Paris, France. When she heard Jake's distressed call, her heart sank. Jake, what's wrong? Are you feeling unwell? Mom, my stomach hurts so badly, I feel like I'm dying. Jake's voice was tinged with tears and helplessness. Luna suppressed her worry and said calmly, Jake, don't be afraid. Call 911 right now and tell them your address and symptoms. I'll transfer the medical expenses right away. When you get to the hospital, text me and let me know. Mom, Please come back soon. I'm so scared. Jake cried. Luna wanted to go back and be with Jake immediately, but she knew it was too late. She also didn't want this incident to ruin her and Ethan's European trip. Jake, you're 18 years old and an adult. You should learn to face difficulties on your own. Mom believes in you. You can do this. I'll keep in touch with you. Let me know if anything happens. After hanging up, Luna immediately transferred the medical expenses to Jake and then discussed with Ethan. Jake seems very ill. Should we go back early? Ethan thought for a moment and said, it's hard to book a flight now, and even if we go, we won't be able to get to the hospital right away. Jake's grown up and should learn to handle these things on his own. We believe in him. He can do it. Luna nodded. She knew Ethan was right. Jake was no longer the little boy who needed her constant protection. He needed to learn to face life's difficulties and challenges on his own. After hanging up, Jake, although terrified, followed Luna's instructions and called the emergency number. An ambulance arrived quickly and took Jake to a nearby hospital. After an examination, the doctor told Jake he had acute appendicitis and needed immediate surgery. When Jake heard the word surgery, he grew even more terrified. He wanted to call Luna and ask her to come back with him, but then he remembered what his mother had said. Knowing she wouldn't come back, he gritted his teeth and signed the consent form. The surgery went smoothly, and when Jake awoke, he found himself lying in a hospital bed, alone. He pulled out his phone and sent Luna a message, telling her he was done and not to worry. When Luna received the message, her heart finally settled. She replied, praising Jake's courage and transferring money to him for a caregiver. Jake stayed in the hospital for 5 days, fending for himself or with the help of a caregiver. At first, he felt helpless and aggrieved, but he gradually grew accustomed to it and understood his mother's intentions. He understood that his mother's decision to stay away from him was to help him learn independence and face challenges on his own. On the day he was discharged, Jake's friends came to pick him up. Seeing his friends, Jake felt a surge of warmth. He suddenly realized that besides his parents, he had so many people who cared about him. He wasn't alone. After returning home, Jake tidied the house and cooked a simple dinner. Sitting at the dining table, he looked out at the empty house, but instead of feeling lost and resentful, he felt a sense of peace and maturity. A week later, Luna and Ethan returned from their European trip. Upon entering, they saw Jake sitting on the sofa, reading a book, looking well. Jake, how are you? Luna walked over, touched Jake's forehead, and asked with concern. Mom, I'm fine now. The doctor said I'm recovering well, Jake said with a smile. Did you enjoy your trip to Europe? Very much, Ethan said excitedly. We ate a lot of delicious food in Italy and even learned how to cook Italian food. I'll make it for you later. Great, Jake said happily. During dinner, Luna and Ethan told Jake about their experiences in Europe and showed him photos. Jake looked at the photos and listened to their stories, his face beaming. Mom, Jake suddenly said, although I was scared when I got sick this time, I also learned a lot. I know that when I encounter difficulties in the future, I can't always rely on you. I have to learn to face them and solve them on my own. Luna smiled with relief. Jake, I'm so happy you feel that way. You've grown up and become a real man. Ethan also said, yes, Jake, no matter what happens in the future, you must face it bravely. Mom and Dad will always be your strongest support. Jake nodded, looking at his parents before him, his heart filled with gratitude. He knew that his growth and maturity today were inseparable from his parents' selfishness and persistence. If it weren't for his mother's cruelness back then, he might still be that big baby who only relied on his parents and never grew up. Since then, Jake has become more independent and mature. After attending college, he not only excelled academically, but also worked part-time after school to earn his tuition and living expenses, eliminating the need to rely on his family for support. He frequently called Luna and Ethan to check on their lives, and when he was home on holidays, he helped with chores and took them on trips. Luna watched Jake's transformation with joy and pride. She knew her selfishness had been justified. Not only had she fulfilled her dreams, but she had also raised an excellent and sensible son. In this life, she had finally lived the life she wanted. And she had also made those around her better. Chapter 6. A 50th birthday surprise. A child's return time flies, and in the blink of an eye, Luna is already 50. Over the past 20 years, she has remained true to the principle of living for herself. Not only has she fulfilled her childhood dreams, she learned oil painting and cooking, but she has also traveled the world with Ethan. The couple's bond has grown stronger, and their lives are fulfilling and happy. Jake, meanwhile, is now 25. After graduating from college, he joined a well-known company. With his outstanding abilities and dedicated attitude, he was quickly promoted to department manager and became a key employee. Not only does he excel at work, he is also a devoted and filial person in his personal life, often making time for Luna and Ethan, giving them gifts for holidays and even taking them on trips. A week before Luna's 50th birthday, Jake called her and said mysteriously, "Mom, I have a big surprise for you on your 50th. You must be home for me." Luna smiled and said, "What surprise? Can't you give me a little hint?" "No, you'll find out on the day," Jake said mysteriously. "By the way, Dad knows about the surprise too. You two can just wait together then." After hanging up, Luna was filled with anticipation. She was curious about what Jake would prepare for her. On her birthday, Luna and Ethan woke up early and prepared a hearty breakfast together. After breakfast, Luna sat in the living room reading a book while Ethan fiddled with his camera, occasionally snapping photos of Luna, claiming he wanted to capture the beautiful moments of her 50th birthday. Around 10 a.m., the doorbell rang. Luna, assuming it was Jake, quickly got up and opened the door. When she opened the door, she saw not only Jake, but also several of her close friends. "Surprise!" the friends shouted in unison, holding flowers and gifts. Luna exclaimed in surprise, "Why are you here? I thought Jake was the only one here." "Jake invited us. He said he had a big surprise for you," one friend said with a smile. "Happy birthday." Luna accepted the flowers and gifts from her friends, her heart warming. She invited them in, and Ethan hurried over to greet them. The living room suddenly became lively. Jake busily carried in the things he had brought: cake, balloons, decorations, and some food. "Mom, we're going to have a birthday party for you at home today. We'll all cook, sing, and dance together." "Okay, sure," Luna said happily. "Thank you. This is such a big surprise." For the next few hours, everyone worked together to decorate the living room, blowing up balloons and hanging streamers, making it beautiful. Jake and a few friends were busy in the kitchen, preparing lunch. Luna and other friends sat in the living room, chatting and occasionally joining in the kitchen. The house was filled with laughter and joy. At 12 noon, lunch was ready. The table was covered with a variety of delicious food, steak and pasta cooked by Jake himself, as well as salads and cakes brought by friends. The sight was dazzling and the aromas filled the air. Everyone gathered around the table. Jake pulled out a bottle of red wine and poured everyone a glass. "Mom, today is your 50th birthday. I want to say a few words to you." Jake stood up, raised his glass, and looked at Luna affectionately. "When I was little, I always felt you didn't love me enough. You weren't like other mothers who unconditionally met all my requests. You always let me do things on my own. I didn't understand at the time and even resented you a little." Luna listened quietly, her eyes moistening. She knew Jake had indeed suffered many grievances as a child, but those grievances were all for his better development. "But as I grew older, I gradually understood your intentions," Jake continued. "You taught me to be independent, to strive for what I wanted through my own efforts, and to face difficulties and challenges. If it weren't for your cruelness back then, I might still be that big baby who only relied on my parents, never growing up. Thank you, Mom. Thank you for loving me in your own way, and thank you for everything you've done for me." Jake finished, choking back tears as he raised his glass. "Happy birthday, Mom. May you always be healthy and happy." "Happy birthday to you." The friends also raised their glasses and shouted. Luna finally couldn't hold back her tears. She stood up and hugged Jake. "Jake, Mom thanks you too. Thank you for understanding my intentions and for being such a wonderful and sensible child. Mom is so proud of you." Ethan also stood up, wiped his tears, and said with a smile, "Okay, let's stop the sentimentality. Let's all drink together. Happy birthday, Luna." Everyone toasted and then began to enjoy a delicious lunch. During the meal, everyone enjoyed themselves, chatting and sharing interesting stories from their lives. The atmosphere was lively. In the afternoon, everyone sang and danced together in the living room, having a blast. Jake also took out a photo album filled with photos of Luna from the past 20 years. Pictures of her drawing, cooking, traveling, and photos with Ethan and Jake. "Mom, this is an album I prepared for you. It captures all the beautiful moments of your life over the past 20 years, Jake said. "Every year on your birthday, I'll add new photos, making this album our most precious memory." Luna took the album and flipped through it page by page. Each photo held a beautiful memory, and each smile was so sincere and full of joy. She looked up at Jake and smiled. "Thank you, Jake. This is the best gift I've ever received." In the evening, after the friends had left, the house returned to peace. Luna and Ethan sat on the sofa, with Jake sitting beside them. "Mom, Dad, I have a surprise for you." Jake took out 2 plane tickets and handed them to Luna and Ethan. "These are to Iceland. I know you've always wanted to see the Northern Lights. I've already booked the hotel and itinerary. When you have some time off, we'll go together." Luna and Ethan stared at the tickets in amazement, then looked at Jake, speechless with excitement. Going to Iceland to see the Northern Lights had been their dream for years, and they couldn't believe Jake had remembered it and prepared everything for them. "Jake, this is too expensive. We can't accept it," Luna said with emotion. "Mom, this is what I should do," Jake said with a smile. "You've given so much for me. Now that I'm able, I should do something for you. Besides, I want to go see the Northern Lights with you and create more beautiful memories." Ethan patted Jake on the shoulder and said with emotion, "Jake, you've really grown up and become sensible. We're so proud of you." Luna looked at Ethan and Jake beside her, her heart filled with happiness and satisfaction. She recalled her previous life's tragic end in a nursing home, then reflected on her current life, which seemed like a lifetime ago in this life. Due to her selfishness, she had lived for herself, but unexpectedly found a happy life and a filial son. She finally understood that parental love for their children isn't about unbridled doting or taking care of everything for them. It's about teaching them to be independent, responsible, and to become better people. At the same time, parents should have their own lives and dreams, and shouldn't lose themselves because of their children. Only by living a happy and joyful life can they set a good example for their children and make the entire family more warm and harmonious. Okay, it's getting late. Let's go to bed early. We have to pack for Iceland tomorrow, Luna said with a smile, her eyes sparkling with happiness. Ethan and Jake nodded, and the family stood up together, heading towards the bedroom. Moonlight streamed through the window, lengthening their figures and illuminating their happy future. Luna knew that this life's happiness was just the beginning. There were many more wonderful things waiting for them.